Hello, my dear students. Welcome back. Today I am going to discuss about the principles of wage and salary administration. In an organization, we have many employees who are working there as permanent employee, as a temporary employee, or as daily wages. We have to pay them, be it a wage or be it a salary, and hence this wage and salary administration is a must in organization. Then now, what is this wage and salary administration? If we talk about this, it refers to the establishment and implementation of sound policies and practices of employee compensation. This is what is wage and salary administration. So it talks about purely on the policies and practices of employee compensation, right? Now we have different principles of this wage and salary administration. So here I am going to discuss about three principles of wage and salary administration. Here if we talk about the first one, which is external equity. This is the first one, that is external equity. So what is this external equity? We are going to discuss about it. Now if I talk about this external equity, this principle, it actually acknowledges the factors or variables. Those factors or variables are external to the organization, and those factors or variables, they are going to influence the level of compensation in an organization. Now which are these external variables? These external variables here are demand and supply of labor. This is the first one. Then we have the market rate. This is the second one. And there are many other variables which are external and have impact on the wage and salary. Now let us see how supply and demand of labor is going to affect the wage of employees. Now see here, take the example here, determination of wage. How we are going to determine the wages here. Now see here, if we have this is the labor here on this axis, and on y axis we have here wage rate. Let this be the supply of labor here and this be the demand here. Now see here, when the supply of labor is increasing, the demand for these labor is decreasing. Alright, so here they are intersect. This is the supply and demand for labor, that is more the supply, lesser the demand. Right now at this point both labor and supply are intersecting. At this point, this is the point which is fixed here by the labor as well as labor and supply and demand of labor, rather we can say this supply of labor and demand of labor is going to determine the wage rate of the employees in a market. Now see here, this is going to be the wage rate which is determined by the supply and demand of this labor force in the labor market, right? Now if we discuss about the impact of increase in the supply of labor, what would happen if there is an increase in the supply of labor? It will result to a fall in the wage rate, right? If we see on this axis, we have here quantity of labor, and here on y axis we have wages here. Fine. Now if you see, when the quantity of labor increases from Q1 to Q2, the wage rate decreases from W1 to W2. Here when the supply increases from S1 to S2. Now the effect of increase in supply and demand for labor. Now if we see on x-axis we have here labor, and on y-axis we have here a wage rate. Now sometimes what happens due to immigration will lead that immigration, if there is any kind of immigration in any state, it will lead to an increase in the supply of labor. That means more workforce would be available in the labor market. Then what is going to happen? The wage rates are initially going to fall, but however a net migration would also lead to increase in demand for labor, because the new workers create additional demand in the economy, right? And now if we talk about the labor force participation rate in India, from the past 4 years, if we see 2014 till 2018, this labor force participation is showing a continuous declining trend. If you see, it is from 52.244% to 51.962. It has come down from this percentage to this percentage from the past 4 years. So if we talk about these variables, be that like labor supply and demand in the market, or be that a market rate, if these variables are not kept into consideration while fixing wage and salary levels, these may be insufficient to attract and retain employees in the organization, because it is very important for an organization to attract new employees or new skilled labor, new innovative and highly talented employees, as well as to retain the existing employees. Hence, every organization must keep an eye on all these variables. So when we talk about this principle of external equity, it ensures that jobs are fairly compensated in comparison to similar jobs in the labor market. So this is all about the external equity, the principle of external equity, right? Now we go to the next principle here, which is internal equity. So what is this internal equity? Now we are going to discuss about it. When we talk of the organization or companies, they have many jobs. They have many jobs, or they have various jobs which are relative in value term, In other words, we can say the values of various jobs in an organization are comparative. They are comparative. Let us take the example of teaching department. If we talk about this teaching department, pay levels of different teachers. Take the example of, we have professors, we have associate professors, we have assistant professors, or we have lecturers. All these have different salary levels. They are not same. Professor is taking one salary, associate is taking other salary, and assistant professor is taking other salary. These salaries are different as per the perceived or real differences between the values of job they perform. Here, professors, no doubt the job is same, teaching, but this professors would be different. His roles and responsibilities will be different. Then when I come to assistant, his will be different, and associates will be different. So based on the values of the job they perform, they are going to get different pay. Pay will not be same. So this relative worth of the job has to be ascertained, and we are going to ascertain it by job evaluation. We are going to evaluate the job of professor, we are going to evaluate the job of associate professor, and we are going to evaluate the job of assistant professor as well. Thus, an ideal compensation system should be established and maintained appropriately in an organization based on the relative values of different jobs in that organization. So we can talk about here the compensation system should be prepared in such a way that more difficult jobs should be paid more. Difficult jobs must be paid more. Now we have next one, which is individual worth. So what is this principle of wage and salary administration? This principle, individual worth, it talks about an individual should be paid as per his or her performance. So this talks about the worth of an individual based on the performance of that employee in an organization. So when here the individual is paid based on his or her performance, it enables individuals here to be rewarded according to his contribution to the organization, because the worth of the employee is determined by the performance of that employee in that organization. Alternatively speaking, this principle ensures that each individual's pay is fair in comparison to others doing the same or similar jobs. That is equal pay for equal work. Fine. So, in a sum and substance, we can talk about a sound compensation system should encompass factors like adequacy of wages, social balance, supply and demand, fair comparison, equal pay for equal work, and work measurement. Now, let us discuss what is this wage differential. This wage differential, it refers to the difference in wages between people with similar skills within differing localities or industries. This is what is wage differential. It can also refer to the difference in wages between employees who have dissimilar skills within the same industry. This wage differential is generally referenced when discussing the given risk of a certain job. For example, if a certain line of work requires someone to work around some dangerous or some chemicals which are harmful to the health, then that job or the person who is working there, he may be given higher wages when compared to other jobs in that industry that do not necessitate coming into contact with dangerous chemicals. There are also wage differentials due to geographical factor, right? Where people who, when we talk of this geographical wage differentials, where people with the same job may be paid different amounts. They are paid different amounts based on where exactly they live and the attractiveness of the area. The attractiveness of the area. Now, what are these pay differentials? If we simply put, pay differentials are conditions for which an employer is willing to compensate an employee with additional pay. The employee is able or he is willing to compensate an employee with additional pay to get them to take certain assignments here. Now, why do pay differentials matter here? Why are they important here? Here pay differentials are important because they can help entice employees to work hard to stop shifts such as second or third shifts. They can also encourage employees to accept jobs that must be performed in some critical conditions, some dangerous or hazardous conditions. And pay differential can also be crucial factor that persuades employee to take jobs in the geographical area, and in those geographical areas the cost of living can be higher. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like, comment and share my videos, and do not forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.